report. So even if the student comes to you and says, I want to tell you something that I don't want it to go anywhere, you cannot be bound by that. If a student comes to you and says, I was sexually harassed or touched or whatever, and they say, I don't want you to tell anybody, you say, I have to. By law, I have to. So you do have a duty to report. So I'm going to talk to you about two things. I could talk to you for a couple hours about lots of different things, but I'll talk to you about two things that are in your folder. One is the incident reporting form, which I gave you a copy of just some screenshots on how to access that. When in doubt, if you're not sure, I don't know, should I report this, should I not? Just report it. Because even if it's just for informational purposes only, it's always better to put in an incident report than not, okay? So the instructions are there. It's really pretty easy. You can access it from My ID. You click on the employee tab. There are some green boxes and it says incident reporting form. When you click on that, it'll take you to your page that will ask you what kind of incident, whether it's an academic issue that you need to report, whether it's personal misconduct, or whether it's an accident or illness. But the more information you can put in there, the better. If it's just for information, you just want to say, hey, I want to let Heather know that this could be a potential, maybe it's a behavior issue or something, and I just want to document it. In your notes, you just want to put for information only. That alerts me that I don't need to do anything other than just keep it on file. Okay, so you can do that. If you think you have a student that might, this might be a repetitive behavior and you want just to keep track of it, put the incident report in, put for your information only, and then the next time it happens, we say, okay, this has happened once before, maybe we need to talk with the student, things like that. So when in doubt, go ahead and report. Any questions about reporting? Yes?
Do we ever get follow-up? Different region, I had a child doing some of these reports in the same class. One student was suicidal, and then the other one was just very aggressive. And it happened a couple of times, so I decided to report it. But I heard nothing from that point.
Was it here?
No, it was on a different.
Okay, yeah. Typically, I would communicate with the faculty that says we've taken care of it, or some of those things are confidential, so I can't share some things with you. But typically I will follow up and say, I've met with a student, we have a plan moving forward, that sort of thing, and give you as much information as I can. So sometimes you'll be involved, sometimes. Depends on what it is, but good question. Any other questions about reporting? Okay, the second thing I want to talk to you about is the student crisis protocol. That's in there. It's really short. It's a half sheet. You can stick it inside a folder or whatever you need to do, but I would encourage you to keep this with you because my cell phone number is on there, so you need to make sure you have that, or just go ahead and put it in your phone. But so we talked about suicide. Many of you probably have heard about Hope Squads, and Shani is out there talking, and she'll have information about Hope Squads, which is our suicide prevention initiative. But this is in particular, if a student is in your class and they are severely having a meltdown, they are talking about suicide, you don't know what to do, this student is in a severe crisis, okay? What we want you to do is first, get the rest of the students out of the class, okay? Just say, hey, you know what, let's take a break. I'm going to sit here and talk to so-and-so while the rest of you just take a break, okay? And you have a couple options. You can contact 911 if you think it's an immediate threat and you need immediate, police assistance. You can contact 911. Please do not leave the student. Stay there with the student. The other one is you can contact our campus police, and they are on campus. When the building's open, they're here. And their number is on there. It's 812-348-SAFE. I would encourage you to put that into your phone. Okay? So depending on the severity, you're going to have to use your judgment. if they are, you know, ready to take a pencil and stab themselves, you call 911, get somebody over here, you know, do whatever you can. But send the students out. The other thing I would like for you to do is to send me, or you can either call my cell phone or send me a text. If you send me a text, just put 911 on there. So that if I'm here on campus, I will be down there. If I'm not, I'll make sure that one of us will be down there to support you while you're waiting for the police, while you're waiting for the ambulance or anything like that. And then, of course, always follow it up with an incident report. So Brian talked about that. This is when students are in crisis. We want to make sure, because what we've had happen before is I found out a couple days later while students feeling, you know, they mentioned that they might feel suicidal and they're going to go home and talk to their parents about it. And somebody has let them go home, and it's like, you know, that's a big liability for us. So we want to make sure that if a student's in crisis in your classroom, that we have a protocol that you can follow. So any questions about that? No? Okay, that's all I have for you. Anything else you want me to talk about?
Two quick follow-ups to what she was talking about. One, if things on an academic side, in terms of reporting, if you have minor plagiarism issues or things like that, a cheating issue or something, even though you handle it in-house, that's fine. Still report it, because we can look for patterns. So they might do something small in your class, and then they take yours and yours, and now we have a bigger issue. Though nobody knows if nobody reports. So please, 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 please report. It takes less than 5 minutes to do.
And I'll tell you, just so you kind of know where your reports go to, if it's a misconduct or, you know, behavior or anything like that, those reports come to me. And I have deadlines that I have to follow. Like when I get the report, I have so many hours to take, you know, to address it. If it's anything academic, it'll go to Jo. She has the same thing. We have certain deadlines that we have to follow. And if it's an accident or an illness, you know, like a student falls in the ice and hits their head or something, you fill out that accident report. That report goes to Whitney, our HR director. Okay, and same thing. She has so many hours and so, you know, deadlines that you have to follow through with different things. Okay, so those reports go to different people, but just when in doubt, report.
But we don't have to worry, just to clarify, Heather, we don't have to worry because when we choose from that menu what kind of issue it is, then fill it out, the system will route it to one of the three of you.
Yep.
That, who it goes to does not affect what we do when we send it. Am I correct there?
Yes, and that's just if you want to say, hey Heather, I filled out this incident report for a student because, you know, they were just being belligerent and da-da-da. You've come to talk to me before, right?
Yeah, I know
an
that
incident
word.
report, just so you know who they go to. Yeah, you don't have to, it'll automatically go to me, or go to Jo, or go to Whitney. Yeah.
And something on, if I could, something on those incident reports, and I don't know if they've corrected it or not, I asked them to because of a situation this last academic year. I had an adjunct who taught at multiple campuses, and the adjunct filled out the form for an incident that happened, it was an academic issue that happened in Columbus, but used her home campus, which was, I don't know, I'll just say Muncie, I don't know that that's where it was, but used Muncie. And then there was confusion of who had ownership of that issue. So when you're filling it out, if that even has if that still says your home campus, what we really want to know is where did the incident happen? So if you teach for multiple campuses and the academic issue or the behavior issue happened in Columbus, say Columbus, that's what's important.
Yeah.
So I teach off campus in Greensburg Learning Center. The high school students drive there every morning. So do you want anything, if they have like a minor traffic accident on their property or something?
If it's on the property, yes. Yep. Like if they back into somebody's car,
Okay,
something
you know,
like that.
places you call. And
Yeah. Yep.
do anything minor on
Yeah.
property.
Yeah. Yeah. Whitney gets to turn in a annual report for that. So
Okay.
yeah.
On the incident report, do we now put that also a needle stick?
If that would go into the accident, on the accident reporting form, yep.
So it would still go on the
Yeah.
incident report when there's
Yep.
a needle stick.
Yeah, when you go into that incident reporting,
Right.
you have those multiple
Okay.
options, and one of them is accident reporting, that would go there. Yep. Any other questions?
The only last follow-up to that, on the right side of your folder, there are several things, if you got a chance to talk to Shaney about the Hope Squad and a couple of the other resources that we have out there for United Way 211. We also have the one in there if you have students who need counseling. There's the one handout in there with that. So please make sure, don't just keep the information, make sure we're sharing that information with our students so that they know what kind of resources are out there. All right, so now we're going to turn it over to Corey, our registrar, to go over the important dates of the semester.
Well, good morning. My name is Corey McGuckin. I'm the registrar here. So welcome to our brand new adjuncts. We're happy to have you on board, and welcome back to our returning adjuncts. You see lots of familiar faces. For some of you, this is going to be a review multiple times over for people like Tony, who's been here
For a long time.
a long time. For others, it may go really fast. So there are handouts that are in your packet. The first one is there's important information from the records office. So there are going to be several times throughout the semester where our offices come together, and there's reporting requirements that I need from you. I know you all are here to teach, and that's your main objective and your priorities here, but there are also several reporting requirements that we need to work together on throughout the year. Before we get started on that, I need to talk about FERPA really quickly. You guys all go to the doctor's office, you're familiar with HIPAA and the Privacy Acts. FERPA is the college version of that, Family Education Right and Privacy Act. Means that we can't release any information to anybody besides the student unless we have their written consent. So if husband, wife, mom, grandma, boyfriend calls, stops by, says, I want to know information about this student, we can't release any information to anybody else unless we have written consent. Students can come in and fill out a consent form. We keep those on file. So all of my office suite mates, their contact information is down here, that if you have any questions and say, hey, so-and-so called and wants to know about this, then give me a call, stop by, say, hey, do I have authorization to release this information to somebody else? There are a whole lot of exceptions with FERPA. I could spend hours and hours just talking about that. But the nuts and the bolts of what you need to know is you can't release information, period. So if you have any questions about that, let me know. The next thing I want to point out is please, 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 please check your Ivy Tech email accounts. That is the only way that we have to get a hold of you. I don't know all of your personal accounts. I don't know your phone numbers. So there's lots of important information that comes out every semester, timely information that only comes to your Ivy Tech email account. So make sure you check that regularly. The first point where our offices come together and the reporting requirement is no-shows. Super important. If you hear nothing else that I say today, make sure you tune in to the next 2 minutes to talk about no-shows. So, at the end of the 100% refund period for your class, for 16-week classes, that would be the end of the first 2 weeks. For 8-week classes, that would be the end of the first 4 days of the class. You need to report any students who did not show up. There's a spot on your My Ivy account where you can do that. There are instructions on how to go through all of these reporting requirements that we'll talk about today. But no-shows are super important. That if we have a student that was registered for a class and that's their schedule, they're a full-time student, they're registered for this class, but if they never show up, you need to drop them. Because what happens if you don't drop them, then they're going to stay in this class, and we think that they're still in the class. They all of a sudden get a financial aid refund check based on the fact that they were in this class. Now they're sitting on a refund of a couple $1,000s. They've gone out and bought a new computer. They've gone on vacation. And then you tell me at week 6 in the semester that, oh, the student's still on my roster. I've never seen them. What should I do? You call my office and you say, hey, they're a no-show. Now we drop the student from that class, and now they're no longer a full-time student. They're no longer eligible for all that aid that they received. And we've seen students owe upwards of $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 back because they were not turned in as a no-show. That's a really big deal. The student can't come back and take classes if they owe money. It's not good for the college, it's not good for the student. So super important that we turn in no-shows. You'll receive an Ivy Tech email that tells you when no-shows are due and how to go through that process. The next point that you're going to have connections with my office is through midterm grades. So around the middle point in the semester, you'll also get an email from the systems office that says it's time for you to turn in midterm grades. There's a point in, James has brought up your My Ivy account under faculty. There's a midterm grade link right there. You click on that. Please, 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 once again, click the midterm grade. Don't click the final grade. That's really bad for my office because I have to manually unroll each of those grades one by one, and it's about a 4-step process. I don't want to do that. So make sure